Hello, my name is Brenda Airo-Dyer, and I'm a graduate student at the University of North Texas. My capstone project is titled Exploring Institutional Strategies to Improve Workforce Outcomes for Neurodivergent College Students. My main research question looks at one big issue. How can colleges redesign their supports, practices, and career development programs so neurodivergent students are actually prepared for workforce entry, not just for the classroom? To answer that, I focused on three sub-questions. First, what academic barriers, executive function demands, and structural challenges get in the way of transition readiness? This includes things like planning, organization, sensory load, inconsistent accommodations, and systems built around neurotypical assumptions. Second, which institutional practices show the strongest potential to improve workforce outcomes? Here, I'm looking at UDL-aligned instruction, advising models, executive function scaffolding, and integrated career readiness supports. And third, how does faculty and staff awareness influence students' confidence, self-advocacy, and readiness to navigate employment? Because the research is clear, awareness and instructional clarity directly shape students' sense of agency and their ability to advocate for themselves in both academic and workplace settings.
So, what did the research show? The main takeaway is that colleges need a coordinated college-to-career model, not isolated accommodations. 4 key answers emerged across the literature. First, executive function support has to be treated as a core student success strategy. Planning, organization, and task management aren't optional skills. They directly shape transition readiness. Second, neuro-inclusive teaching reduces unnecessary cognitive load. When courses are predictable, clearly structured, and aligned with UDL, students gain the stability they need to build confidence and transferable skills. Third, career readiness must begin earlier. Students need support with disclosure decisions, interview preparation, and workplace communication long before graduation. And finally, employer partnerships are essential. Structured onboarding, clear expectations, and trained supervisors make a measurable difference in whether neurodivergent graduates can successfully enter and stay in the workforce. Together, these findings show that improving workforce outcomes requires a connected system, one that aligns academic design, advising, career development, and employer practices. This project brought together research across academic supports, advising, career readiness, and employer practices into one connected framework. There are 4 main contributions. First, the study used an integrative review of 31 peer-reviewed sources published between 2020 and 2025. This gave a current, evidence-based picture of what actually supports neurodivergent students. Second, the project takes a systems-based view of workforce outcomes. Instead of treating barriers as individual student issues, it looks at how academic structures, advising, career services, and employer practices interact. Third, the project introduces the college-to-career neuro-inclusion framework, a model that connects student-level needs, instructional design, advising, career development, and employer inclusion. And fourth, the report offers practical recommendations for stakeholders, giving each group clear steps they can take to improve workforce outcomes for neurodivergent students.
Let's look at the 4 major themes that emerged from the research. Theme 1, executive function demands shape both academic and employment readiness. These demands, planning, organizing, prioritizing, time management, and shifting between tasks, are areas where neurodivergent students often face greater challenges. Theme 2, instructional design and faculty awareness matter. When courses are predictable, clearly structured, and aligned with UDL, students experience lower cognitive load and higher confidence. Theme 3, career readiness supports are still fragmented and reactive. Most institutions introduce career development too late, leaving gaps in disclosure support, interview preparation, and workplace communication skills. Theme 4, employer practices continue to limit workforce entry and retention. Stigma, unclear accommodation processes, and unstructured onboarding create barriers even for well-prepared graduates.
Together, these takeaways show that improving workforce outcomes requires coordinated action across the entire system, not just one office or one accommodation. The College to Career Neuro-Inclusion Framework brings together 5 pillars that shape successful workforce outcomes for neurodivergent students. Pillar 1 focuses on student-level needs. This includes executive function support, self-advocacy development, and access to assistive technology, because these are the foundations students rely on long before they enter the job market. Pillar 2 is academic and instructional structures. Here, practices like universal design for learning and neuro-inclusive pedagogy reduce cognitive load and make learning environments more predictable and accessible. Pillar 3 centers on advising and support services. This includes peer mentoring, coordinated disability support, and integrated guidance that helps students navigate both academic and non-academic demands. Pillar 4 is career readiness and transition supports. These are the skills and tools students need to move into employment. Things like disclosure decision-making, interview preparation, and coaching in workplace communication. And Pillar 5 focuses on employer partnerships and workplace inclusion. Institutions and employers share responsibility here. Employers need support developing neuro-inclusive hiring practices, structured onboarding, and supervisor training that sustains inclusion beyond the first day. Together, these 5 pillars form a connected system, one that prepares students, aligns institutional practices, and builds workplaces where neurodivergent graduates can thrive.
One of the biggest wins in this project was learning how to move from a broad topic to a focused, researchable question. That shift helped me see the real leverage points in the college-to-career pathway. Another major takeaway was recognizing how strongly academic supports and workforce outcomes are connected. The evidence showed that what happens in the classroom directly shapes what happens after graduation. The writing process also pushed me to synthesize multiple disciplines: education, advising, disability studies, and workforce development into one institutional framework. That interdisciplinary integration became one of the strengths of the project. I'm especially proud of developing the College to Career Neuro-Inclusion Framework. It brought all the research together into a model that institutions can actually use to improve outcomes. And finally, this project strengthened my interest in learning technologies, universal design for learning, and inclusive curriculum design. It confirmed that these areas are not just academic interests, they're the tools that make meaningful, systemic change possible. One of the toughest hurdles in this project was narrowing the scope. Neuro-inclusion connects to so many systems: academics, advising, career services, and employer practices, that it was challenging to define a clear focus. Another challenge was finding research that directly linked college supports to employment outcomes. A lot of the literature focused on accommodations, but didn't address career readiness or long-term workforce success. I also found that synthesizing 31 sources into one clear framework required multiple rounds of revision. Bringing together different disciplines and perspectives took time, but it made the final framework stronger. The biggest lesson I learned is that strong capstone writing depends on structure, not just information. Once the structure was clear, the analysis and connections came together much more effectively. Thank you for watching this video.